When India's squad for the T20I series against Afghanistan was announced, there was a lot of focus on Rohit and Virat making a comeback, but there were also two very notable omissions from the squad, and of course, one of them was Ishan Kishan, the other was Shreyas Iyer. Many speculated that Ishan Kishan was being dropped because, of course, the BCCI were unhappy with him and the fact that he had pulled out of the Test series against South Africa. With Iyer, the case was a little bit more confusing for the very simple reason that he hadn't done much, but many speculated that maybe the return of a Kohli pretty much nullified the need for Iyer in the shortest format of the game. But now there are new reports that are emerging about both players, Ishan Kishan and Shreyas Iyer, and why it is that both of them have missed out on the T20I series, admittedly for two very different sets of disciplinary reasons. Both have fallen foul of what the BCCI sets as far as disciplinary standards are concerned. But whether or not either of them really deserves, or let's say is in line for such a demotion, that's something we'll discuss in this video. But before we do that, let's first take a look at the individual cases of both players, because again, as I said, both are in very different boats in this particular circumstance. Both have run afoul in different ways, but the punishment that has been meted out to them has been exactly the same. And we'll start with Ishan Kishan, because again, he's someone who has been spoken about a lot. We've done another video where we talked about, selectors potentially looking beyond him. You can find that on our channel, it's up there. And we talked about, the fact that he had pulled out, focused on his mental well-being, wasn't very happy with the fact that he was having to travel and tour with the side, was getting no game time. But that isn't so much what has bothered the BCCI allegedly, as has a couple of other issues. First off, he was seen partying in Dubai with MS Dhoni. Dhoni going to Dubai during the New Year's time is nothing uncommon. We've seen even Rishabh Pant there with him on occasion. But Kishan was seen partying at around that point in time. And not just that, he also appeared on a rather popular TV show known as Kaun Banega Crorepati. He came in the cricket edition alongside Smriti Mandhana. And this all came after he had pulled out of the South Africa Test series. Now, why it was seen as problematic, I'm assuming, and again, I don't really understand the thought process here. I'm assuming it was because he pulled out for personal reasons, citing mental well-being and needing to take care of it, and thereafter was seen partying and appearing on TV shows. Again, I don't personally see what the major problem with this is, because again, even if he was coming on a TV show or if he was out partying, first off, it's time off that he's taken to take care of himself. People could be doing anything during that time. Nothing wrong with partying with MS Dhoni. Secondly, if he did in fact go on that TV show, I refuse to believe in any way, shape or form that the BCCI had no idea about it whatsoever and were caught off guard, especially when you consider that the other person who was on that show with him was Smriti Mandhana, who's India's vice captain in the women's team. So again, I refuse to believe that the BCCI had zero idea about it, and they were apparently not very happy with this, because it gave across, it was optically poor. I kind of understand that a player pulls out citing personal reasons and is then seen on a television show, is then seen partying. All of this was apparently the major problem, and that is why he doesn't find himself in the scheme of things, at least for this T20I series. Now, the case with Iyer is a little bit more nuanced, and it does require a little bit of talk about, how it is the Test series in South Africa went for him, but we'll get to that right now. So, the thing was that Shreyas Iyer was told to play Ranji Trophy games for Mumbai in the current season. Of course, the season has begun, and Iyer has now made himself available for Mumbai, but he hadn't done so before. Why? Because he had asked, or he had requested some time off from the selectors, and this is something that apparently they were not very happy with. I don't quite understand why, although you can see both sides of the coin. For one, nowadays players do request time off all the time, but the other more important thing is that Iyer is someone who's not necessarily a certainty in all formats. Yes, he's played Test cricket regularly, he has played ODI cricket pretty regularly, he's not a certainty in T20Is, and after how poorly his South Africa tour went, there are question marks over whether he can be a long-term option in Sena countries at number 5. So that is why actually he was told to play the Ranji Trophy. He was told to play the Ranji Trophy because the selectors were apparently concerned with some of his shot selection. So they wanted him to go back to the domestic grind, work on it, and he said, no, I don't want to make myself available for Ranji Trophy. I want a little bit of time off. Selectors were allegedly not very happy with that, and that is why they didn't make him a part of the T20I squad. Again, All of this reports and hearsay, I have to add, but again, this one I do kind of understand to a degree. Iyer definitely at times looked like a cat on a hot tin roof when in South Africa and on rather bouncy pitches. He was at sea more often than not whilst facing the short ball, so I understand them wanting him to go back to domestic cricket, face that grind a little bit, look to grind out runs. Of course, playing domestic cricket in India won't necessarily prepare him for bouncy pitches overseas, but it would perhaps help him work on his shot selection, being a part of the nets along with other members. Maybe that was the thinking process, but again, I'm not quite sure why it is you need to drop him from the squad because of that. And it is worth noting that there can be, there's always a saying that there's no smoke without fire, because Iyer has now made himself available to play for Mumbai. So he will be a part of their next first class game. So he's made himself available for that. So it does seem like, this could very well be linked. But again, I don't understand the need for this. Again, he's going to be playing the test matches that come up after the Afghanistan T20I series. Whether or not his overseas record is bad doesn't take away from the fact that at home he does boast a very good record, and it's against England. You're going to be preparing some very turning tracks. Let's not kid ourselves. And after that, of course, he's going to be playing the IPL and then potentially the T20 World Cup. It's understandable he'd want his workload managed just a little bit, but I do understand also that he's not someone of a Kohli Rohit kind of level who can just be picking and choosing tours. So maybe it would have been the wiser thing to agree to play bread ball cricket domestically rather than get dropped, then make yourself available. So the end result of all of this is that it does appear that the BCCI are cracking the whip a little bit and saying, look, you need to be taking your domestic first class cricket seriously in the case of Iyer, and in the case of Kishan being told, listen, it doesn't matter if you are around the squad and if you're not getting much playing opportunity, you still need to be there. You can't be pulling out and then seen parting. The merits or demerits of both of these arguments, again, I've mentioned personally not a fan of either of them being dropped, especially Kishan, who I think has been dealt a rather unfair hand, but that's the way the BCCI has chosen to do their business in this case. What are your thoughts on the matter though? You can let us know in the comments in the live chat, and also don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel and tap that bell icon if you haven't already. Also follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well, and stay tuned, plenty more coming your way. For now though, from my side, it's goodbye.